Hey everyone, and welcome back. We're diving headfirst into the latest AI news.
A whole mountain of it.
Exactly. We've got Reddit threads and Discord chats and tweets galore.
All filtered through the AI News newsletter.
Yep. They've pulled from all those sources, and we're talking about like hundreds of tweets and thousands of Discord messages and so many Reddit threads.
Kind of boil it all down for you.
Right. Like,
Yeah.
think of it as your own personal AI news filter.
It's really amazing just how much is happening in the AI world right now,
Oh, for sure.
especially on the hardware side.
Speaking of hardware, have you seen all the buzz around Apple's new M4 chips?
Yeah, the rumored M4 Ultra with like a potential 256 gigs of unified memory.
Whoa!
Developers are super excited about it
I bet.
because the rumors are saying that it could be even more powerful than those high-end NVIDIA GPUs.
You mean like the 4090?
Yeah, when it comes to AI tasks.
Wow, so you could be running these complex AI models on like a Mac Mini
Right.
faster than a crazy expensive gaming rig.
And we're already seeing some really impressive numbers. Like what?
The M3 Max right now is running Filey 3.5 MoE
Uh-huh.
at about 60 tokens per second.
Which basically means it can process text like lightning fast.
Exactly.
And they're saying that the M4 could be even faster.
Oh yeah, potentially hitting 6 to 7 tokens per second with Qwen 72B 4-bit using MLX.
Wow, and how much is this going to cost?
Well, speculations are that a machine with that kind of performance could come in at around $1,000
Really?
with 32 gigs of RAM.
That could totally change the game.
It would make AI development so much more accessible.
Not just for like the big companies and research labs.
Right. Anyone could get their hands on this kind of power.
It's like having a research lab on your desk. But does this mean that all this AI is going to like...
Replace human developers?
Yeah.
Well, that's the million-dollar question.
Sure.
Google CEO Sundar Pichai actually just came out and said over 25% of the new code at Google is now AI generated.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So I can see why some developers might be a little worried about their jobs.
It's understandable to have those concerns.
Yeah.
But you have to remember that AI is just a tool. Some people see it as like this powerful coding assistant that's going to free up developers to focus on more creative and complex tasks.
Like designing the super intelligent AI that takes over the world.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Okay, fair enough.
AI development is still in those early stages.
Right.
Even Linus Torvalds, the guy who created Linux,
Yeah.
he's pretty skeptical.
What'd he say?
He called AI 90% marketing and 10% reality.
He doesn't sugarcoat it, does he?
Nope.
But it makes you think, like,
Right.
we really need to separate the hype from the actual potential.
Absolutely. And that's where having expert analysis comes in.
Which brings us to Hamal Hussein.
And his framework for using LLMs,
LLM.
large language models,
Yes.
to evaluate data and make decisions.
So like we're doing right now.
Yeah, kind of.
So we're like AI judges then.
Basically filtering through all the AI news.
Finding the important stuff.
Right. He calls this LLM as a judge.
Catchy.
It all starts with expert review, like we're doing now.
Yeah.
Then you build an LLM judge based on that expertise.
Interesting.
It's like judging the judges.
Uh-huh. I like that.
And it's similar to how AI news curates and summarizes information.
Right. They use experts to sift through everything.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense.
And one thing that Hussein really emphasizes is dealing with the memory limitations in AI agents.
Like they forget stuff.
Yeah, he talks about using something called a temporal knowledge graph.
Never heard of that.
It basically helps AI systems remember and learn from past experiences.
Oh, that's cool. And that reminds me of those AI hallucinations.
Where they just make stuff up.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. OpenAI is actually trying to tackle that problem with a new benchmark they released.
What's it called?
Simple QA.
Simple QA. What is that?
Well, it's a set of 4,000 diverse questions
Okay.
designed to test how accurate LLMs are.
So it's like a test to see how good they are at sticking to the facts. That's really important if we want to trust AI.
Totally.
Speaking of OpenAI,
Oh, yeah.
they also just added a feature to ChatGPT
Oh, yeah.
that lets you search your chat history.
Finally.
Right. I can't tell you how many times I've wished for that.
It's the little things.
Okay, so let's jump over to the AI Discord communities for a minute.
Sounds good.
What's buzzing over there?
All sorts of stuff.
Like what?
Well, the Unsloth team just discovered some issues with gradient accumulation in training frameworks.
That sounds pretty technical.
It is, but it's a big deal for developers.
How so?
It affects the consistency of language models.
Oh, I see.
Another issue people are running into is LoRa fine-tuning on H100 GPUs.
And I'm guessing quantization is still causing some headaches?
You bet. Some users are reporting their models are spitting out gibberish because of quantization mishaps.
Yikes. So even with all this progress, there are still tons of technical challenges.
Oh, for sure.
But on a brighter note,
What?
what about new model releases?
Oh, yeah, there are a bunch.
Like what?
Well, Haiku 3.5 is generating a lot of buzz,
Mm-hmm.
and people are excited about Gemini's coding capabilities.
What can it do?
It's really good at handling databases.
Interesting, but are all the new releases getting good feedback?
Not all of them.
Like which one?
Well, Phi 3.5 is getting some heat for being a little too cautious with censorship.
Like it's afraid to say anything interesting?
Pretty much.
Huh?
But, it's all part of the process.
Okay, so we also found a few other interesting tidbits.
Oh, yeah, we should definitely share those.
So one research paper revealed some fascinating geometric structures in the concepts learned by LLMs.
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
It means those models are organizing information in a way that's similar to how our brains work.
Whoa, that's kind of freaky.
It is kind of eerie.
What else did you find?
Well, get this. Researchers have digitized and reprinted a plum, complete with its scent.
Wait, they 3D printed a smelly plum?
It's not 3D printing exactly.
So close.
Yeah, they made a digital replica of the plum.
And they can reproduce it with the original scent.
Exactly.
Wow, that's crazy. What are the implications of that?
Well, it opens up a whole world of possibilities for digital sensory experiences.
Like imagine being able to smell your food through VR.
Exact.
That's insane. And speaking of sensory experiences,
What?
there's something interesting happening in the podcasting world.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it.
Well, over in the Notebook LM Discord, people are talking about using tools like Simile and Hedra
to add avatars and character visualization to podcasts.
So you're saying we could have like animated versions of ourselves popping up on screen?
That's the idea.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really cool to see this tech sparking so much creativity.
Yeah, in so many different areas too.
And it's not just the fun stuff either.
Right.
There are so many people working really hard behind the scenes on all the technical stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Solving all the tough problems.
I was actually just looking at the GPU mode in Discord. And it's full of developers troubleshooting all these nitty-gritty issues.
Like what kind of stuff?
Like figuring out why those Int8 tensor cores are sometimes slower than the FP16 cores.
Oh, yeah, that's a tricky one.
Or dealing with those HIP memory errors.
The ones that lock up your machine?
Yeah.
I hate those.
It's amazing how deep they go into the technical details.
Yeah, it reminds you that even with all the hype, AI development is still very hands-on.
It's like the Wild West out there.
Totally. It's like those early days of the internet.
When everyone was figuring out how to build websites and connect with each other.
It was messy and exciting.
Yeah, and you never knew what was going to happen next.
Exactly.
And it's cool to see that even now with AI, real progress is happening in those trenches where people are pushing the limits.
Absolutely.
So speaking of pushing limits, have you seen the new Aider features?
You mean the save and load commands?
Yeah. Those are game changers.
For real. Anyone who's tired of manually recreating code contexts.
Oh, tell me about it.
It just makes everything so much smoother.
It's like a super-powered clipboard for your code.
Exactly.
Oh, and what about Skyvern? Have you heard about that?
Yeah, that's another one that's making some noise.
What is it?
It's an AI-powered browser automation tool.
Oh, wow.
People are talking about it over in the Aider Discord.
What can it do?
Basically anything you do online that's repetitive.
Like responding to emails or filling out forms?
Yeah, stuff like that.
Even posting on social media?
Yep, it can handle all of that.
That's awesome.
It frees up so much time and mental energy.
It's like having your own personal assistant living inside your browser.
Exactly.
So we've talked a lot about the big companies and all the hype.
Right.
But what about the open source side of things?
Oh, there's still tons of innovation happening there.
Like what?
Projects like Eleuther AI and Unsloth are still pushing the boundaries.
I was just checking out the Eleuther AI Discord.
Yeah.
And there are lots of discussions about the challenges of fine-tuning large language models.
Oh, especially with limited resources.
It's really inspiring to see all these people working together to solve those problems.
It really shows the power of community and collaboration.
Yeah, and it highlights how important it is to make AI accessible to everyone.
Not just those with tons of computing power.
Speaking of computing power, have you seen that the H100 GPU rental prices are finally dropping?
Really?
Yeah. Maybe now I can finally train a decent-sized language model without going broke.
Fingers crossed those prices keep going down.
Yeah, and while we're talking about making AI more accessible, have you seen all the excitement about Apple Silicon?
Oh, yeah, those M4 chips are looking really impressive.
Imagine being able to run those powerful AI models on a Mac Mini.
That would be a game changer.
Especially for students and researchers and indie developers.
Who can't afford those expensive GPU setups.
Right. It could really democratize AI development.
And who knows what kind of innovation that could lead to.
I'm all for it. But it's important to remember that technology is just a tool, right?
Absolutely. It all comes down to how we choose to use it.
We need to make sure we're using AI for good.
And not creating more problems or making existing ones worse.
It's so important to have these conversations about the potential impact of AI.
Both the good and the bad.
We need to understand the risks and the benefits.
And make sure we're developing and using this technology responsibly.
So that means staying informed and engaged.
Right. It's easy to get caught up in all the excitement.
For sure.
But we need to be critical thinkers.
And ask those tough questions.
Like, how will this affect our jobs, our relationships, our privacy, our society as a whole?
Yeah, those are big questions.
But they're questions we need to be asking ourselves.
Especially as AI becomes more and more integrated into our lives.
And it's not just up to the experts to figure this out.
Right. Everyone has a role to play in shaping the future of AI.
Absolutely. And that starts with understanding what this technology is, what it can do, and what it can't do.
And that's what this deep dive is all about.
We're trying to give you the information you need to be an informed participant in this crazy world of AI.
We're not telling you what to think.
But we're giving you the tools to think for yourself.
And hopefully sparking your curiosity along the way.
Because there's so much to be excited about in the world of AI.
But also a lot to be cautious about.
We need to be aware of the potential downsides.
Even as we celebrate all the progress that's being made.
It's like we're exploring uncharted territory.
With amazing discoveries around every corner.
Also potential dangers.
And the more we know, the better prepared we'll be to handle those challenges.
And use the power of AI for good.
Oh, have you seen what's happening over in the Open Interpreter Discord?
Yeah, there's a big debate going on about virtual beings.
Some people are worried about them taking jobs.
While others see them as a new form of entertainment.
Or even companionship.
It's a complex issue.
With no easy answers.
And it's a conversation that's just getting started.
As AI gets more sophisticated.
We're going to see more and more applications that challenge our assumptions about what's possible.
And we need to be ready to have those conversations.
To weigh the pros and cons.
And make informed decisions about how we want to integrate this technology into our lives.
It's like we're at a crossroads.
And the choices we make today will shape the future of AI for generations to come.
Yeah, it really does feel like we're on the edge of something massive.
But not everyone feels that way.
That's true. There are definitely some people who are still skeptical about all the AI hype.
They see it as a threat.
More than like an exciting opportunity.
Yeah, something to be worried about.
Well, I get that.
Right.
Every time we see these big technological shifts, there's always some anxiety and uncertainty that comes along with it.
Like, just think about the printing press.
Or the internet.
It shook things up.
Big time. And I think those anxieties often come from a fear of the unknown.
It's natural to imagine the worst case scenarios.
Like robots taking over the world and using us for batteries.
Uh-huh. Let's hope it doesn't come to that.
Yeah, but it's important to talk about those fears and have those discussions about the potential risks of AI, along with all the benefits.
We can't just ignore the risks and pretend everything will be fine.
We have to be proactive and responsible.
About how we develop and use this technology.
And that's where organizations like the Open Access AI Collective come in.
I was checking out their Discord.
Yeah.
They're doing some cool stuff.
Like what?
Well, they're trying to make AI more transparent and accessible.
So that everyone has a say in shaping its future.
And they're exploring ways to make it easier for people to train their own language models.
Even if they don't have a lot of resources.
It's all about democratizing access to AI.
So it doesn't just become another tool for the elite.
It's not just about access to tech, though, right?
Right.
It's also about access to knowledge and education.
Right. We need to make sure everyone understands how AI works.
And how it's being used and how it's impacting our lives.
Exactly. The more people understand about AI, the better equipped they'll be to make good decisions about its future.
It's like we're all passengers on this AI train.
And we need to be actively involved in deciding where it goes.
Speaking of trains, it feels like this one is really picking up speed.
Yeah, the pace of development is incredible.
And all these breakthroughs are happening all the time.
It can be tough to keep up.
Yeah, it feels overwhelming sometimes.
But it's also really exciting.
It is. We're witnessing a tech revolution.
That has the power to change every aspect of our lives.
From how we work and communicate.
To how we learn and create.
And even how we think.
It's up to us to decide how we want to use this technology.
And shape it into something that benefits everyone.
It's a huge responsibility.
It is, but it's also a huge opportunity.
We're at the very beginning of something incredible.
And it's up to us to write the next chapter of the AI story.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
we encourage you to think about what role you want to play in shaping the future of AI.
Will you be a passive observer?
A curious explorer?
A passionate advocate?
Or a hands-on contributor?
The choice is yours.
But hopefully this deep dive has given you the info you need to make an informed decision.
Thanks for joining us on this journey through the world of AI.
It's been an amazing ride.
And we can't wait to see what happens next.